What's up, y'all? Welcome to the space. My name's Tutuno. I just wanted to thank y'all for coming through and checking me out. What we're gonna do here is really just introduce ideas, and y'all hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. It's gonna be a nice, calm, uh, friendly debate on some of the challenges that we all have as Americans coming up. So we have a president who is acting radically, destroying the markets really across the world. And he's doing that because we are all in trouble, right? Something needs to be done. He's trying to do something this similar to like a Hail Mary pass or some shit. Like he's just throwing something up in the air and hoping that, somebody's going to catch it. But I don't think anybody's going to catch this one. I think that we are all going down a road that's going to be similar to what we experienced during COVID. Now, I saw a lot of people protesting this week. That's dope. Keep doing that shit. But we also need to understand that we need to introduce ideas and we need to implement changes that make sense, that we can actually get done, that we can actually promote, that's not gonna make us look like a bunch of assholes sitting out there with a protest sign, okay? That's something that they can demonize. That's something that they can weaponize all your shit against you and make it something that it's not. So we can't do that. We need to introduce new ideas on how to fix the problem. Now, what is the problem? Our problem is debt. We have in this country $27 trillion in personal debt. That means all of our credit cards, all the shit you owe, along with everybody else, equals $27 trillion. Our government owes $7 trillion. Most of that is in the form of treasury bonds that are bought by other countries, Japan, Korea, South Korea, you name it. They all got a little piece of these treasury bonds, right? The reason why they buy treasury bonds is because they get a yield, because we're going to pay them back. And, hey, buy these bonds, we'll have money in our treasury, and then we'll pay you back with the interest, right? So that's how China has, in a lot of ways, built consistent wealth. In this country, there has been a movement against the billionaires, which I think, without getting to the ins and outs of the positions of what a billionaire should do, what they should not do, and how we can somehow work together, this is my idea. So, if we owe $27 trillion in personal debt, our government owns $7 trillion in debt with these treasury bonds, right? My idea is to have the billionaires in this country buy that debt from China, from Korea, you name it, well, all the bonds, whatever debt there is, let's have our billionaires, so their combined wealth in the United States is close to $7 trillion. So let's have them buy that debt and we will pay them back with interest. That way they can still make money and we can all get out of debt as a government. Now here's my part two to that plan, because that's just a small part of what we need to do. And I'm going to introduce these ideas, and just so everybody understands, when you have a government that is supposedly supporting free market, which ours is not, there's never been a free market. There is no free market. Every market is influenced by something, by the governments. We've all seen that. We've seen one person influence the whole thing by just one decision, right? Our markets are very sensitive, right? And the capitalist market, the free market idea is it's a fantasy. It's not, there's no free market. There's no free market. Okay, everybody needs to understand that. If you don't, if you believe that there's a free market somehow and you can show an example, please do in the comments. There is no free market. The free market idea is why we have this big disparity between the rich people in this country and the poor people in this country. Because when anything is scarce, like let's say housing is scarce in this country because most people can't afford it, what happens to those items? The rich people buy them. And the rich people buy them in abundance. So there's rich people out there that have not one house, but how many? We all know the answer to that bullshit. So it all goes back to the free market idea and how it can work, and how it just doesn't work. It explodes every 7 years on some bullshit, and something becomes scarce. And then the rich people, they're the only ones that can buy it, somehow get even further away from the common man. Now, when it comes to the capitalist idea of just, I'm gonna be a person that I want as much fucking money as I can get. Not everybody wants to do that. Money is not equated with happiness. So a lot of us are pursuing other things that aren't money. And we should not be grinded into the ground because we don't have those ideals. I'm gonna make a bunch of other videos on this type of shit because, I feel like people don't know, or maybe they need to know, like, in real terms of like how these things break down. But I just wanted to show, like, just as an example, because I'm gonna introduce some ideas that most people may say are socialist, but just so you understand, we have a government that has socialist things going on in it, aspects, what you will. Post office is subsidized by the government, right? Your mail, that shit is subsidized by the government, but it's ran like a private industry. Same thing with Amtrak. So after these billionaires buy this debt, right? I think the next step should be that our government buy everyone's debt. Everyone. You get we're gonna buy your debt. If you're not in debt, cool, you don't need it. But you buy everybody's debt, bring everybody back to zero, right? Everybody pays back what they owe. If I'm only in debt 500, I only gotta pay back 500. If you're in debt by 5,000, you gotta pay back 5,000. And then everybody gets out of debt. Now, I'm just explaining the short version of these, and I'm gonna give you more detailed shit like in later on. But so after they buy everybody's debt, right? Nobody's in debt anymore. So in order to keep, right now, if somebody bought all your debt, you'd be right back in debt in a real short amount of time, right? Because you don't really know much about money, and we have factors in our society that will weigh you down financially and make it so you don't have, you gotta work 65 hours a week just to maintain it, right? So housing, I think that we should all right, so let's say we have a committee that does housing, right? So let's take the factors that we need the most. Housing, that's gonna be the most weight on your financial situation. Most people spend more than half of what they make on their housing. Then you have education. If you ever wanna make any money, you have to have the education. That costs an enormous amount of money in this country. So you have housing and education. The other three-headed monster or whatever is gonna be, what is it? Shit, I can't even think about it. Healthcare, there it is. So healthcare, as you get sick, when you get older, if you're healthy now, that's what's up, good. When you get older and you have health problems, all your money will go away. And the reason why it'll go away is because healthcare costs so much money in this country. So let's take those three things and let's take our government, our people, and take those things out of private industry's hands. So you don't need, so that way people are not profiting off of healthcare, they're not profiting off of education, and they're not profiting off of housing. So if you take those three elements out of your financial picture, how much could you spend in the market? You would say goodbye to crime. You would say goodbye to a lot of the bullshit that you see if we could get those three industries out of private hands, because the only thing that they're going to do is for profit, right? So we cannot have a society that's successful if everybody is profiting off of these major things that we all need to survive, right? This shit is, it's not fair. It's destroying families. It's destroying the fabric of our country. We used to be a dynasty. We are not anymore. I'm gonna do some videos on that to explain that a little bit further, but we gotta make some changes to how we spend our money. And when we do that, all this money can come from the billionaires in this country as a loan. So if you are a citizen in this country, you get a loan to buy a house. You pay back the loan. Everybody gets a similar loan. If you, for healthcare, you get a loan in the beginning of your life. They say, okay, these are going to be your healthcare expenses as we foresee it, right? Loan me that shit and let me pay it back through the course of my life out of my paycheck. That's where my taxes can go. And then you have the education. Loan it to me. Through the government, through the billionaires, use their capital to educate the American people and not make it a financial burden upon them. Because if we don't start having more time to innovate ourselves, the rest of the world is going to win. Not win, but they're going to be doing a lot better than we are, right? Because we can now, if we were all financially strong, we are able to put our own capital into the markets, not just this market, but other markets across the world, then that would make America prosper and we would not be in debt. And the fourth thing I want to talk about is infrastructure, but I'll do that on the next video. I'm tired. I fuck with y'all. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments what you think about my idea. I'll be coming with more, I don't know, soon.